Should brief topic number 2 tonight is, did blacks get lost in Arabia while trying to get to Africa? This came with a link. Let's check it out. Okay, for some reason it's going slow.
The next set, Muslims. Do we need to unite with Muslims? Shall we unite with Muslims? First of all, you talking about black Muslim or the next Islam? What are you talking about? That's a good question. I'm really just saying Muslims, period. Oh no. And the reason I would say that is because, first of all, their holy man is not even a black man. They pray towards Arabia. They learn an Arab language. They wear Arab clothes in order to basically adopt an Arabic lifestyle. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, like what's the point in in a Islamicized black man? You feel what I'm saying? What's the point in uniting with somebody who believes Arabia is the holiest land on the planet? I'm an African. I don't believe Africa is the holiest land on the planet. You feel me? If I'm gonna pray towards a land, I'm gonna pray towards Africa. You feel what I'm saying? Right. If I want to learn a whole new language, I'm gonna learn African language. You feel what I'm saying? If I'm gonna wear some new style of clothes, I'm gonna wear African clothes. You feel me? Why Arabic? Why Arabia? Because the Arabs created. I believe that every group of people had their own political and religious.
I'm seeing folks say the video is acting up. I wonder if it's my computer or something acting up, which is a shame if it is. Let me try to refresh the tab. Let me see if it'll work better with a second try. Let's see.
The next set, Muslims. Do we need to unite with Muslims? Shall we unite with Muslims? First of all, you talking about black Muslim or?
It is very blotchy.
That's a good question. I'm really just saying Muslims, period.
I'm sorry. Someone said something. Is it still
Yeah,
live?
I see the comment where they said to change the frame rate. I agree with that too, because it's kind of like blotchy-ish, like the sound and the visual too.
Well, I could only go down with the frame rate. Let me see. I could go down with the frame rate. I did. Let's see if the sound is better.
The next set, Muslims. We need to unite with Muslims. Shall we unite with Muslims? First of all,
Okay, that's a little better.
Black Muslim or the next Islam? What are you talking about? That's a good question. I'm really saying Muslims, period. Oh no. And the reason I would say that is because, first of all, their holy land is not even a black man. They pray towards Arabia. They learn an Arab language. They wear Arab
that's not
clothes in order to basically adopt an Arabic lifestyle. You feel what I'm saying? So.
I'm hearing someone say, is it still no good?
Yeah, it's no good, man.
All right. I can't really salvage that one, can I? Because if we can't see the video, then I can't really ask the question. Did black? Okay, I think I kind of get it from the title. So the video is titled "Black Muslims, White Prophet." Let me flip it around like this. Why would black folks? Why would black folks engage in a religion, especially one that was forced on you? But we'll put that to the side for a second. Why would black folks engage a religion that has a white person at the top of it? What's the Tanzan said the video? They said they jinxed it. Talking about the video, but why wouldn't we instinctually not participate in something where there's a white person at the head of it, particularly religion. What is that about? Let's start with Bwana Hagoziki for that.
No, I believe that when you ask most religious people, in particular, people of the our Abrahamic faiths, what they usually say is color has nothing to do with it. They usually have that bend. The focus on skin and color and all these other things has nothing to do with it. Even though when you go out the world, around the world, when you see a picture of Buddha in India, he usually looks Indian. But if you take that same Buddha and take him to China, he's a fat guy with a plump face, you know, sitting down talking about discipline. He's a fight, probably over 300 pounds, something with discipline. But but and then when you go to other cultures, you see the same kinds of ideas around the world. But it's something in the religious philosophies and well, we are colonized people. So, as colonized people in Africa and in the West as well, colonized people are only going to accept something which has been given to them. When you are free people, you tend to create the divine or the ideas of the divine based on something that is internal. But when you're a colony, your spirituality going to be based externally, off of the religions that's been given to you. And I think that that's why we lean towards having these Eurocentric spiritual beliefs and ideas at the helm of it. You'll usually see a white person or a white Arabic person, etc., etc., etc. I think that we have tried to put these redefine these ideas of spiritual saviors in blackface, but the theology of it still remains something that is foreign to the native people, the native inhabitants, whether it's in Africa or in South America or even the Americas itself. I think that we trying to shoehorn a square peg into a round hole, and ultimately that doesn't work. You need to get rid of it completely, and create something that is either unique or go back to what was done prior to the invasions, prior to being imposed an idea of spirituality and belief on native people of the world. So I'll stop there. That's where I am with it. You're muted if you're talking.
I think he said he stopped there. What he given was a very good answer as well. So but I think he said
Thank
he
you,
stopped
Dean.
it there.
Oh
I,
dang, Coco broke his thing up.
yeah, I think his
Uh,
microphone is busted.
yeah, right. But yeah, sis, what do you think about why do you think black folk follow non-black prophets?
Can y'all hear me?
Oh, now we can, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do me a favor. Do me a favor. I gotta restart this thing. So here's what to do. Oh wait, hold on. If I restart it, continue the conversation. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right. Okay, yeah, sister. Why do you think the Arabs? I mean, why do you think Muhammad is? Like, why do you think black folk are following Abrahamic religions? Like, even if they know that the Abrahamics are not, like, the Abrahams are not black.
I think it has a lot to do with just the culture. Yeah, I mean, just the culture of how you was raised or how a person raised. That plays a major influence. If I'm being too honest, like the parents are the teachers before you enter the world. So whatever the parents are usually interested in, the child sees the world through their eyes. We all did as children because our minds are very innocent. So that's automatically you just start believing it until we actually get into the world and see things for ourselves and see the reality of the situation. Then that's when things start to begin to change. I would say with that one.
Oh no, you're right. I realized this because I realized this the other day. I think I was in the grocery store today, and I realized that for like a long, like maybe for like a year, I don't know, but every night I would be like, "If I shall die before I wake," and it's just like, the what? You know,
Yeah.
like what am I talking about? I'm like, I don't know how old I was, but I remember somebody was like, go on the edge of the bed, knees on the, knees on the edge of the bed, arms in a prayer position, talking about what happens if you die that night, and it's just like it's so
Exactly.
tragic. Whereas like my son right now, I don't be well, if you're gonna die, make sure you like no, like make sure you write with this invisible. Nah, ain't none of that shit. But like yeah, your
Yeah.
parents, like you said, your parents really do get you on some dumb shit. And here's the sad part. As ridiculous as it sounds, a lot of people are doing that still.
Yeah, but I'm not sorry to cut you off, Ani, but I read this book by M. Scott Peck. It's called The Road Less Traveled. He said that we see our parents as powerful gods. So, that's why I refer to the parents as the first teacher. They always say the mother and father is the first teacher in life with everything. But sorry, you can continue.
Okay, thanks. No, but yeah, like I mean, I see what you're saying too, because like my son, like he would do some of the stuff that I do, or he would believe some of the stuff that I believe just off rip. Now the only issue becomes, well, why didn't we as people like look at these other folk, and I'm convinced that in the historical like in the history of our people, a lot of the people who were elevated into the higher classes, or who became the haves, if you will, right, were the people that were kidnapped or taken by the religious zealots, you know. So there's this book. It's called Of Water and Spirit. Now it's not 100% factual, but one part that the brother, that the author talks about is how he was kidnapped as a child by the local Catholic school. And the whole goal of that Catholic school was to, after they give you that indoctrination, after they tell you, oh yeah, France is good, and Europe is great, and God is white and all that kind of stuff, right? Now you're supposed to go back into your old community and teach them the ways of the whites, you know and you empower them, you give them more resources, you give them whatever, you give them like access to jobs and access to so on and so forth. And what happens is that slowly the old ways, for the most part, the old ways are lost, and the new ways, the ways of the colonialists, the ways of the
Yeah,
Christians, the ways of the Arabs like replace the old ways. um
true.
so I think that, like what I could say about that is that, why do black folk follow these other things? It's partly because uh like one, it's this really deep indoctrination that says, hey, tell your kid to, make these stupid prayers, whatever. But two, it becomes a family affair and all that kind of stuff. But two, it also is that they got in, like they got easy access to. Unfortunately, I'm going to go back to the economic thing and say, to arguably weaker economies, they took over weaker economies, and they made it so that their way became the way.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. I agree with that too.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix this lagging issue, but I think it will require me to restart the computer, and I can't do that and live stream at the same time. So I'm hoping somehow I cut off a couple of different things I was running. Hopefully that'll make it better. There is a video that we have tonight that I really need folks to see it. I need you to watch it to really have a conversation on it. But again, did blacks get lost in Arabia while trying to get to Africa? In the chat, Tanzan, who posted this video, she had said something about it. There's been so many comments. She says, why replace one religion for another instead of African spirituality? She also said earlier, but why didn't the Black Americans go to Africa instead of Arabia? With that said, let's welcome in Gassam Up. Gassam Up, what say you to this notion of blacks being in Arabia? Well, basically, the notion of
Koku, can you skip me, Koku? Because I'm walking and there's a lot of noise. I'll be in the house in about 3 minutes. So I'll come right. Just get back to me in 3 minutes. I'll meet disrespectful. Right. Thank you.
Juana, did you have a chance to fully respond to this?
Yeah. Oni and Danger, they did an excellent job in giving some narratives as far as I want to ask Oni a question. You know, I want to ask him a question if I could. Suppose, and this ain't no disrespect or anything like that, let me make that clear. But suppose your son was to come to you and say, Dad, I want to be Ifa. I want to investigate the Ifa faith and I want to become one of the adherents in that religion. What would you say to him then?
Should I'll handle the book on our bookshelf. What the fuck are you talking about?
No. Okay. The reason why I'm asking is because I'm thinking that your frame of reference is you just don't want to have anything to do with any kind of idea, spirituality and the supernatural and all that good stuff. So I just really wanted to know the answer to that question. But
look, if you asking me personally, I could recognize that a lot of it is like it's more like a human invention utility, but it's not necessarily like 100% accurate. It's just that, you know, a lot of them are myths. You know, it's like, you know, because the thing is this, you know, if we go back to you. If your son said, "Hey, look, Dad, I Zeus is telling me that you're on some fuck shit," you know what I mean? And you know, I'm just gonna investigate Hera and Zeus and all that kind. You'll be like, "Yo, that's some old bullshit. That's false. It's mythology. You take from it lessons, but you don't really make it govern your life." You know what I mean? But that's what if I say Zeus. Now, if I say God and Jesus, then you might be like, well, okay, that's fine. You know, but they're really in the same category. But because of, you know, the colonization, right? And I didn't do that on purpose. I didn't do that study on purpose, but it is colonization, right? But because of that colonization, we kind of put the Christian mythology above the Greco mythology, right? And I personally would just put, you know, I would put the Yoruba or the Khan theology or mythology above the, you know, the European ones. But I would also recognize that, hey, look, you know, myth is myth. You know, it's no different from like Harry Potter and Star Wars. You know.
Let's hear from Real Black Gentleman. Unmute your mic, Real Black Gentleman.
Oh, my bad. I've been stepping away. Okay. Yeah, let me answer the question, man. Now, I think you're referring to...
Go finish eat your food, Real Black.
My bad.
Man sucking his fingers, you hear?
Real Black Gentleman.
I'm good. I mean, you're referring to like black people in America, right? That's why I'm thinking like getting lost, trying to get to Africa, right? Or do you mean like black people in general, like wherever, like in the world?
Well, the idea that black folks are so invested in, well, generally the Abrahamic religion, but
yeah,
in this case, you know, this Islam thing where the white man's at the top of this. Why are we?
Can I say? Let me say, it's like using Africa as flyover country to get to Mecca. You done got this far in America. You try to figure out what's going on. You take a plane. You fly over all the mightiness of Africa. You fly. You could have that plane land in Dakar, in Accra, in Lagos, in any place. You can stop it in any place, but you keep on flying over Africa to go to Mecca. That's how I look at it. I'm like, you guys overshoot the mark. How can you cannot sit here and start superimposing things. This is what I Look, Mecca, Jerusalem, and Vatican City are theological theme parks, just like Disneyland. Got me? That's all they are. Theological theme parks. Straight like that. You know, you go round about the Kaaba. That's a ride, right? You go. I don't know what you're doing in the. You know what I'm saying? You go to these pilgrimages. It's just like people who go to pilgrimages to amusement parks. There are theological theme parks. I mean, none of these places have nothing to do with anything. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Of substance to like actual like. You know, day-to-day life anywhere on earth. I mean, you can't point to a place where it's like we need a Mecca. If these places were like, you know, sorry, closed for business, and you just couldn't go to these places, it's not going to affect, you know what I'm saying, anyone's eating of anything. They're ideological, just theme parks. I mean, going to Arabia, going to Mecca, and people are. I would always encourage people to. I mean, how would I say it? Like, I've done my I did my DNA testing. I'm not gonna say everyone should do it, but this is the thing. If I'm gonna do my genealogy in America, what's gonna most likely happen is I'm gonna run into something called cargo manifest. You know what I'm saying? Because you can only do so much genealogy because until there's the break in genealogy because no one was able to take their information on them boats and let people know about who their daddies was and all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Real oral histories and stuff that we had. So I mean, to augment hard genealogy, because in fact there are people who can truly trace themselves, you know, back to an ancestor, but that is an ancestor, and naturally our, you know what I'm saying, our lineages are scrambled because, you know, the boats and the plantations and the breeding farms were scrambled. Our whole, so like people going to Mecca, they get caught up in, you know, what's my fate on earth? Like, how do I get closer to my maker? And again, like, did blacks get lost in? I mean, you only have to go to Mecca once. I hear, but I mean, there are people, and I've said this before on the show. You will sit there and fight your brother and go to Mecca every year. It's and the whole idea that, you know, I know that, you know, the geographically, you know, Arabia, you know, that geography, and that maybe the Red Sea is just a lake in between, you know what I'm saying, a deep, you know what I'm saying, deep gulf, you know what I'm saying. That's nice and good, you know, to say that, but in the meantime, them peoples is crawling over the peninsula and all them areas outside and all through Egypt and North Africa. So it's like trying to say that, well, it's Africa is kind of moot. You know what I'm saying? It'll be Africa should we get our stuff together, you know what I'm saying, and outbreed the world. But I mean, that's not even impossible, you know what I'm saying, knowing that it's good to know that, I mean, there's a lot of life going on in Africa. I mean, it's the greatest population of people in the world. If we can slowly but surely just shake it off and just say, nah, just say no to it and just like refute it however you can. There's no reason. I mean, if it means the people in Mecca, you know what I'm saying, lose business because, you know, I'm saying the Africans shouldn't go to no black people should go there. I mean, you know what I'm saying, rough business. There's no reason for black people to even go to, and it's messed up because I think about a Malcolm X, and I feel like he went to Mecca, but then he really started to open his eyes to what was going on in the organization. He had to make that hard ideological U-turn and say, yo, man, I didn't even know it was like that. Yeah, and he was trying to make that U-turn, and you know what I'm saying, they got him because they was hating. Trying to keep that whole ideological nonsense about what's right and exact. You know what I'm saying? I'm a pass the mic.
Yes, sir. Go back and tend to them oxtails eating in the back there. Erzuliism joined us. Erzuliism, what say you to this?
Well, all I'm going to say is that all these Abrahamic religions are seeped into African religion, African spirituality. So maybe the reason why we can't shake that shit is because some parts of it connect to us. Because African people and indigenous people are always believe in a creator. We're not atheists by nature. So this is one of the reasons, because some of the stories that the Bible thing they derive from Egyptians, if you want to say folklore, and some of the stuff that you read, for example, like if you listen to Abraham Abraham married Rebecca, and there's some. If you go back, you could find that same story in I forgot, in Indian culture. And I'm talking about I'm talking about Indians from India. But at the end of the day, when you research more, you realize, I think brother Untouchable said something, that the Asiatic man was the original black man. The Bantu, the Buddha had Bantu knots. So the reason why I think that it's easy, it's hard for us to shake it, is because some of it we identify deep down in our subconscious with it, and that's why. The difference I don't understand is that when you read the Bible, especially the first 5 books, them shits don't play. Them shits say, if you kill my son, I gotta kill your son. I don't understand why black people are more attached to the New Testament than to the Old Testament. And even if you look like Islam, for example, that's a funny thing. Did you know that in Islam that they don't blame Eve for the fall of men? They just say it's both of them. So there's stuff even in there. I don't know about Islam, but I think one of the reasons why we can't shake that shit off is because deep down they took some of our scriptures, they remixed it, and then they give it back to us. For us to be saying that, I don't believe we will reach our independence without spirituality. People who said, I don't believe in this shit instead, that's not what our ancestors believed in. Our ancestors, whether they're from Africa or from the Caribbean or from South America, they always believe in the creator.
But Azuli, why follow a paradigm with a white man at the top of it? That's the real crux of the. I get what you're saying.
So I give you an example, which is very. So sometime when I go to like a Haitian spirituality thing, right? When I go to the I forgot what you call it. Oh my God! So when you go to a voodoo ceremony, when you go to the altar, you see white saints, Catholic saints, and all of that, right? And they said the reason they have that, it was back in the days, in order to practice your shit, you had to hide it under the Catholic things, right? But what happened is, after we got the independence, we never thought them the real people. So there's a sickness in there. We have low self-esteem. We don't believe that. I think subconsciously we have low self-esteem in order to follow, because your God has to look like you. If your God don't look like you, there's something wrong with you. Because even if you read the Bible, the Bible said, you are created in the image of God. So if I'm created in the image of God, and the black man is supposed to be the first human on earth, how the hell that God is white? But when you speak to those people, you know what they tell you? This is what, God has no color. It's an energy. Nigga, you're a coon. That's what you are. Because even in the Bible said, you created in my image. So if I'm created in your image, that means you should look like me. So I think it's a psychosis. It's a pathology that we have. But I think the reason it is because they took some of our writings and incorporated it into theirs and flipped it like that and tied us into the book. That book is very deadly, bro. That book controls the majority of us. Even if we don't want to. So I just think that I don't know how we're gonna fix it, because I think the majority of us are tied to either of these books. And I think I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Y'all gonna say I'm crazy, but I think they believe that we was about to get off that Christian shit, and then they introduced us to Islam.
I would like to say something. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Azuli, why do you say that?
Because you know why I say that? Because I think, especially in America, our eyes were beginning to open, and all of a sudden, the Nation of Islam came. I don't trust these people. Because even Malcolm was on some us first, and then he went to Mecca. All of a sudden, we was eating with each other. So Malcolm, you didn't know about the 2,000 years of Arabic slavery?
Azuli, no such thing as Arabic slave trade.
Okay, well, oh yeah, we spoke about that, but you know what I'm saying. So I'm just
before gas. Let's hear what Danger had to add.
Yeah, I think thank you for letting me speak. I think another reason I just thought about this, but really Muslims are male identified and very patriarchal. And like white people in general, they operate in a very patriarchal type of way. Like the man does everything and he comes first everything. And I just think every other man, behind white man, just adopted that. And I think it's favorable. Islam is more favorable than Christianity because like Islam and Muslims, they're more centered based on the man first, the man needs come first, and the man is above anything else. And I think a lot of men really gravitate to that idea. And that's why it's like more huge. I don't think it's more dealing with like
What's wrong with that?
well, I'm just telling you this is how all men think. They want to come first, and I think that's why they gravitate towards that more than Christianity. Christianity used to be like that, but Christianity have stopped being like that. And I think that's why a lot of people have lost a lot of men lost interest in Christianity and they joined Nation of Islam or become Muslim. And I think it's taking them more away from just a white issue. It's more being a male identified society that men gravitate towards. And the Mecca and Arabia is more male centered more than anything else.
Let's have from Gas them up. First of all, Gas, how are you this week?
Man, I'm good. I didn't get to have my show because I had to do a lot more research. I try to make sure I come very, very well researched. So I had to double down because I'm trying to.
Unlike Tenzin.
Hey, I'm not involved. I'm not getting involved in you and Tan.
I love you,
come
Tan.
on
I love you, Tan.
and come back for a Zuli, Tan. Don't let him do this to you like that, Tan. But no, I had to do the research. I got some shows. Remember, I told you guys about the Medu Netra, so I want to tie that in with the Moors, and so I got bogged down in a lot of research. So, but next week we'll be off running with a big bang. So,
yeah. I was looking
thanks for asking.
Today.
Yeah. Look, I'm not a fan of Islam or Christianity. I think black people have to get away from Abrahamic monotheism. It's just me when linguistically, I can only speak on the research I've done, particularly for Nigeria, West Africa, to a certain context. We were not monotheistic. I was just on another platform. They were talking about the quote unquote Igbo people of Nigeria. And this lie, oh, the Igbos are Jews and all that stuff. It's like, no, they're not. It's just silly. But I think monotheism has a way of creeping in and warping people's minds. So, yeah, I will say this, though. I think we have to ask ourselves, other than conversion by force, which we know that happened on both Christianity and Islam, what were the tangible benefits that Africans had? And there, in many aspects with Islam kind of provides, with Arabic writing, a form of universal currency and timekeeping for Africans. And I think that's what appeals to them. And the religion in some of the ways that it's practiced creates and fosters somewhat of a brotherhood or a sisterhood where ethnicity is kind of put to the background, and in a way Islam comes to replace ethnicity. So one can be from Bangladesh, one can be from Saudi Arabia, one can be from Nigeria, one can be from Somalia, one can be from Brazil, yet you're all brothers in Islam, right? So it's an interesting theory as a religion. I think that Africans, again, when we're looking at one of the reasons why they embraced it, we can see some practicality as to, oh, okay, they embraced it for this, this, and this. Is it something that I personally, push for people to join? No, I that's just me. But I will say, I'll end with this. Just because I don't need Christianity or Islam or any sort of monotheism, and that doesn't mean that I'm atheist, right? But just because I don't have to believe in a God, that binary, well, you have to believe in a sole supreme creator God in order to have, concept of deities. Uh, just because I don't believe in that doesn't mean I have to tell other people to engage with me, because what I realized is, like, for example, let me give you something anecdotal. There's a woman, right, who she's Muslim. I believe she's from Trinidad, I believe. And she's at a restaurant that I normally purchase food from. And she's a very lovely lady. Now, I'm not going to have a conversation with her and tell her, you know, Sister Allison, you don't need Islam, because this is the history of how some Muslims behaved in Africa, and there's some sort of Arabic colonialism tied to this. If I strip that from her, or that old lady who's selling me, fried bean fritters in Nigeria, and she prays for me after I give her an extra like $5 tip, and I say, "Hey, grandma, chill out with the prayers. This guy Jesus might have been, homosexual. Nothing against the homosexuals. I have love for all people, right? If I tell her that guy Jesus might have been homosexual, he might not even have existed. The letter J wasn't invented until this year, and how is his name Jesus and Yeshua and blah blah blah, and Yahweh and Elohim doesn't mean God, it means councils and blah." I'm gonna shake her core. I'm gonna shake the core of these people, and if I don't have something to replace it with, it's like you deprogram somebody. So imagine you have a computer with Microsoft Words, and you remove the Microsoft Word and you don't replace it with Google Docs. Yet the person has to, type letters. They have to produce, print and do things on a daily basis with their Microsoft Word. But now I've removed that programming and I'm not replacing it with something. Does that make sense to you guys?
I get your point, Gas. I will say that we do have the replacements. We do have African spirituality. I think the problem is we don't have the magnitude of the punishment. I think we don't create as much. I think our alternatives probably don't create as much fear as what these people have pushed on us, right? These people talk about a lake of fire. When's the last time you in your life have seen a lake of fire? Right? But in the time that they were writing that bullshit, people were afraid of fire, like really afraid of fire. A lake of it, and I'm going to be in it for eternity. Like, we don't have that fear-mongering thing that they did. And I agree with you. To get them off of that, we're going to probably have to wean folks off it or be hardline when we get power amongst our people. But we're going to have to replace that shit, because that stuff is all in service to this European man.
But then, cool. Here's the thing, right? Here's why I push a little bit back. Yes, we need to get people off of it. However, we get them off of it. But when we say African spirituality, remember, African spirituality is not African religion. They're not the same thing. And I think what has happened is people have taken these Orishas, they've taken whatever system that the Egyptian, even next week episode, Medu Neter has never been deciphered, but they go to Egypt and they try to embrace these things, and they try to add Christian morality or Abrahamic dogma to it, and it's like it's not going to pan out. So I guess again what I'm saying is that in many instances, like, again, I'll give you another anecdote. Like my grandfather, right? He's on my father's side. He was a traditional worshiper, right? I hate to use that word worshiper, but he was a voodoo man, for lack of a better term. And his children would laugh at him. "Oh, you're just an old ignorant man. Ha 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 ha. We went to school. We can read and write." And they would go to church. And they asked him one day, they said, "Why don't you go to church?" Like, trying to mock him. He said, "Hey, listen, I sit down here, pour my libation, engage with my spirits, and I'm comfortable. You have to change an outfit every Sunday. And if you don't, the people at the church are going to laugh at you. You're spending money, wasting money. I'm comfortable where I'm at." Right? So in his, in, I guess, his village man reasoning, he looked at it and said, "No, I don't need it." and I can engage on a one-to-one level without having to be, that whole church when two or more are gathered, then it is a church, blah, 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 that Christian stuff. So, but a lot of people aren't ready for that. Like, they still need religion. They still need religion to dictate their morality, their sense of right and wrong. Like, I'll end with this sentence, Koku. Think of like John Brown, right? John Brown, he might be a hero of sorts. He died for Africans who were enslaved. But then my question to John Brown is, hey, John, if I wasn't a Christian and I said, I still wanted to do my voodoo, would you die for me then? Or must I be a Christian in order for you to die for me?
I get it. That's a part of the game. And like I said, and I think we're saying the same thing, essentially, maybe slightly different timelines. I'm not saying we got to impose that stuff now. I think we should get back to spirituality, African spirituality. We don't have to impose it right now, but we got to be organizing towards it more. We have to organize towards that a bit more.
Very true.
In the chat, thank you. In the chat, Triggabi262 says, that's why as much as everyone was castigating the Bayfall Muslims, I respected it because, again, realistically, lots of Senegalese have abandoned their spirituality. So it was a good alternative. No trip to Mecca, reifying your African traditions, even with the Islamic base. Your leader was not only anti-colonial, but African. I respect it as an alternative for what has been lost. So if you guys remember some weeks or some months back now, we did a segment on the Bay for, I can't remember if that's when they gave me a copyright strike. So I'm not sure if that episode is still visible, but it will be on the website. As soon as the website goes live, I'll have it up there for you guys to check out. There's been a lot of comments. I can't get to all of them, but I'll just hit a few of them. Yana B says, gas him up. His mind first, sis, just let you know.
Pause.
The matron says, we know that men write laws. The dilemma of being black is to decide to go to war or get into a position to write the laws. Spirituality and religion are different. Yana B says she can't wait for Gas this show next week, the Black Pentagrams. Make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't already. I've seen a few of you over there, like Trigger Happy 262. But let's get more folks over there checking out their show on Fridays. Trigger Happy 262 says, I had a question related to what is being said. It's further up. Okay, I gotta go back up, I guess. Tanzan says to Zuli, I see you are taking up the Tan attack after Oni and Buana. Be ready for battle one of these days. Derica Cooper liked what Gas had to say. Yana B says maybe that's what they need to get them out of La La Land and replace it with African spirituality. Oh yeah, there's been a bunch of comments. Trigger Happy had another question above. I don't know if I see it right now, and I don't want to slow things down. But I guess this might be it here. Trigger Happy 262 said, what is the alternative for these groups if you could argue that they don't have their spirituality anymore? Added to that, Ethiopia is probably not getting rid of Christianity. Well, that I agree with. They wrote Ethiopia into those books. And he says, and mind you, this isn't an endorsement of these religions. If you had it my way, we would not have these religions dominate in our countries, but it's just a probing question. And that's kind of, I'll just take a crack at that and say, that's kind of where my mental is. We, first to begin with, we have whole black nations where the national religion is Christianity. How about we start there and get that out of the way, right? How about we go? I think even Haiti, the national religion might be Roman Catholicism, right? I think the thing is to get back to having nations that actually, put an African spirituality at the top. And then, over time, we can start making these Abrahamic religions more of a minority thing. Or we can start to get these Abrahamic religious observers more Africanized, too. I think that's one of the things we don't talk about enough, how if we Africanize or re-Africanize our people, design and create the cultural output that we want, we can start to make these faiths lose their adherence for what, for our own magic, so to speak.
That's a very interesting thing you said.
Pardon me?
That's a very interesting thing that you said.
Okay, speak on it.
No, I know. I was kind of like, that's interesting. That's all I had to say about it.
Okay. Is there any last words to this prompt?
Yeah, I want to say something that that was said, that I have to do a little pushback. That they said that men joined the Nation of Islam or Islam because it was more male dominated. If you read the book of Christianity, the Bible is more male dominated than anything else. Like I just said,
Book of Christianity?
And I'm talking about the Bible. I misspoke. Okay. So a lot of men don't go to church because we know a lot of these pastors and these preachers are grifters. That's the main reason why a lot of men don't go to church. The pastor could tell you this and then trying to sleep with your wife here. A lot of men don't go to church not because they want to be first. It's because they have mistrust for all those so-called leaders.
Okay.
But when you say that a lot of men join Islam or because they want to be men first, it was men patriarchal. I'm gonna push a question. If I'm gonna say this, more the patriarchal society, the patriarchal nations are thriving. So maybe if you were too matriarchal, maybe we would have never been enslaved like we are right now.
Well, I do apologize for you feeling like that. That wasn't my intention.
Let me just say something. You don't have to apologize. I talk like this. There's no need to apologize now. Okay. I'm just saying. You don't have to apologize or nothing. We're just having conversation. I'm not trying to say nothing, but I'm just saying that for like my father, right?
Yeah.
He sent me to church with my mother. Yeah. He never went to church. And then I would go to the church. I'm like, yo, why this guy don't go to church? You know why he told me one day? These pastors are a bunch of liars. They're telling you this and they're trying to sleep with your wife there. So my father was not. That's what I'm saying. A lot of men did that because of that. Because a lot of these pastors are liars. And women are more followers than men. There's more women in the church. More black women.
But that's very true. That's very true. That's very true.
What I'm saying.
But they also, black women also are a male identified group of people as well too. They have favoritism towards black male, or they have favoritism towards male over females. Now they favoritism their son before their daughter. Like that's a given. I'll be honest with you, like I've seen that multiple times. And to go back to the question when you said the male dominant thing, well, another thing with that is a person character. A lot of these pastors you're talking about is their character. If they cannot even commit to the wives that you were saying, if they cannot commit to their personal life, how can they commit to a whole community? A person character travels through any factors and any sectors in their lives. So if a person character of non-commitment to anything they do, it's all across the board.
But that's what I'm saying, sis. Like a lot of men, we could go to a pastor and we see he on some bullshit. A lot of the sisters know he's not like that. That men could be bullshit. So I'm not going to a church where my pastor's pretending this, and I know.
But why nobody ever call him out though? Like why?
And I saw him at the strip club the other day. Because when we call him out, the women say, "Nah, that's not true." Why would you talk about pastor like that? Pastor's a great man. Shorty, I was just at the strip club with him. What are you talking about? But women don't want to believe that. That's what I'm saying.
Because they are male identified. They identify with the man first before they a woman. So yeah, they're gonna take over them.
Azuli, what's wrong with the pastor?
So how come they don't identify with their husband when their husband tell them no, that man is a grifter?
I know, actually they do. I'm being honest with you, actually they do.
I want to ask you a question. What's wrong with a pastor at a strip club?
What's wrong with a pastor at a strip club? Gas, I know you gaslighting, but if your book says it's wrong to be a sexual deviant, then you are.
Where does the Bible say I can't go to a strip club?
The Bible says you can't be committing adultery. Going to the strip club is adultery, bro.
It is?
I'm not saying.
I agree it is adultery. I agree with that too. But I mean, everybody will see different.
The Bible said your gas. The Bible says it's adultery, bro. If that's what you're preaching, and you're at the club, at the strip club, and telling me I'm a sinner, and you're right next to me, bro, what are you doing? That's what I'm saying. You can't be saying, you can't be a hypocrite. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I understand you.
Put that on a t-shirt, eh? Gas. I know you're gaslighting. That's a like Trigger Happy said, that's a bar. Lero said, Lero quoted it. So yeah, put that on a t-shirt and sell that. Danger, go ahead.
No, I mean that's all I had to say. That was it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll give Trigger Happy 262 that last word. He says what we need to do is reify our spirituality in countries where it's still present and push for a more Africanized Abrahamism, because again, that's the situation. I think.
Well, let me. I wanted to actually. I was waiting. Let me say this. Can you guys hear me? Actually.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. What I would say is that, what Trigger Happy's question is that, we're putting the cart before the horse. The thing that I want people to remember is that when the white man showed up to Africa, right? Pretty much nobody spoke English. Pretty much nobody prayed to his God. Outside of the Ethiopians, nobody was praying to Yahweh or what have you, right? And I mean, of course, obviously, before the white man came, the Muslims did have, their own stronghold. But even before the Muslims showed up, nobody was speaking Arab, nobody was so on and so forth. You don't look at the conditions today and say, well, how do I work with these conditions? You know what I mean? That's putting the cart before, and saying, hey, we can't get these people to stop speaking English because they speak English now. Like that's putting the cart, like you're putting the cart before the horse, in the sense that what we have to recognize, and this is why I wrote this book, is that, it's really all about power. The white man shows up to Africa, or the Arabs show up to Africa, and they say, I don't give a shit what the people were speaking. I don't give a shit what they were believing. This is what they're going to speak, and this is what they're going to believe when they deal with me. And for us as African people, we can't just say, hey, you know what? I see what we're speaking. I see that we speak English now, and I see that we speak Arab now, and I see that we do Islam now, and I see we do Christian now, and therefore let's continue to do it, because that's not what people who really want to embrace power do. Now obviously you don't want to mirror what other people have done, identically or what have you, but we also have to come from the paradigm, or from the perspective that what we want to affect in this world, because this world is made of humans who are impacting the world in their own ways, right? If we want to impact the planet, we have to impact the planet based off of what we want the planet to have, So like the same way how I don't like coons, Koku doesn't like coons. A lot of us don't like coons, right? We have to push that. Like we have to impose that on the world, and we can't just be like, well, there's so many coons already. So, you have to say to yourself, I don't like coons. This is what's going to happen. And, I'll just leave it at that.
I agree too.
Yeah. So I didn't expect you to stop so abruptly right there, but yeah, I actually agree. But the problem is, only we also have the problem with those of us who understand that there's a problem with the Abrahamic religions, right? But there's there's those of us who don't think anything wrong of it. There's those of us who actively want to do something, and then there's those of us who take a stance like, well, it's going to be so difficult to get so many people to buy in and all this kind of stuff. I actually agree with you, but as far as the rollout of that solution, it might require those steps that some others like Trigger Happy and stuff mentioned in the chat, which is you're going to have to Africanize the people who are in these Abrahamic religions, and hopefully, if you do your job well, you'll get them to eventually get away from that culture and adopt their own African cultures. And some people mention, like, there's some of those African countries, I'm guessing, based on what they're saying in the chat, that you can't even, those folks have completely lost their African spiritualities in favor of this Abrahamic stuff. And so what do you do with those folks? So it's a very interesting question. And it raises something too. I want to just share this real quick. We got to move on to the next topic, but I want to share this real quick. I've been thinking a lot about the Shoot the Breeze format, and I'm thinking about changing it a little bit. I don't know if there's 10 subject areas I could find where we do, one topic per subject, or if there's just 5 really strong ones. But I think I wanna go to like a subject area kind of based show where every week we deal with something with African spirituality, beauty standards. I forgot what the other thing was I had in mind. I was talking to someone about Shoot the Breeze, and they mentioned it would be nice for folks to talk about what they do or what they're good at, and let's get that out there a little bit more. If you're good at real estate, come and talk about real estate, this, that, and the other. But, I'm thinking about that. So if you guys have ideas for subject areas that we should make standard on the show, like African spirituality, African beauty standards, blah, 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 let's kind of get that together. You guys join the Discord and let me know. I do want to move on to the next because we've been on this for a while and we got.
Can I say one more thing though?
You're gonna have to keep it really brief. Go ahead.
Okay, to play devil's advocate, the book that we read, the Bible or the Quran never said that God is Caucasian. I'm just saying. So for us to say that we can't use it, because I'm just saying, for all talking points, I don't think the Bible says what color the man is. So that's what I wanted to say.
All right. I don't know what's going on with this computer. Let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 3. Good conversation. You can continue that conversation in the chat. Definitely in the comment section after the video is posted on YouTube. We could continue these conversations. Like I said, African spirituality, African beauty standards. I want to make those like standard subjects that we cover on Shoot the Breeze. I think we need to reinforce African beauty standard. I think we need to reinforce this thinking of returning to African spirituality, et cetera, et cetera. And you guys could tell me some other subjects that you have in mind